I mean, this shoe is about being fast, but also lightweight. With the RS15, it's an inline project with a very tough timeline, and I had to become more realistic and work with a realistic silhouette or last right away. When I get into gravity sketch, it's definitely helpful to save time. Like this, I mean, this is really, I would say, an afternoon, 1 or 2 hours. In the end, I have more time for the design phase because I don't have to do so many different perspectives. When you do it in 3D, then you can exactly define how these lines wrap around the heat and how you can make this look interesting and purposeful. What's also very difficult to estimate in 2D, how the kicking zone looks. This is one of the most three-dimensional parts. This you can find out very easily in Gravity Sketch. It's absolutely intuitive, and I would say every designer can learn it in 4 weeks if he has time to focus on it. And it's definitely inspiring. You're working like a sculptor, and this is a completely different thing than just drawing. Then when you see the result and put it in an inspiring environment, like I did it here, then I think that can be a great tool for the future also to communicate it internally and externally. And you can do all this in 3D.
Not bad, eh?
Oh my goodness.
To have my own boot with Adidas, it's really special. I cannot describe it in words, but it's not just about me. It's for the kids where I came from to know everything is possible, no matter how tough the situation is. I've got I Love Zude at the back because this whole print here is a map of my township. That's what drives me each and every single day, is still my community. The colors come from the different teams I play for. The green and gold at the back is obviously African Bombers. The blue is for my school, which is Grey PE. The Mighty Elephants here, EP. The black is for the Sharks, who I play for now. The blue is for the Stormers. And then at the front is a jersey that Adidas specially made for the Stormers for Mother's Day. And I played with my mom's name on the back. So yeah, this is huge. You get that? When I was young, I didn't have time to dream. I was too busy working towards an opportunity I wasn't sure would come my way. That's what drove me. To run faster. To tackle harder. To lead by example. It's my advantage. And now, I play for hope.
It's a last tango in Paris for the 2023 Rugby World Cup. South Africa against New Zealand. Who will stand alone? Alert to the danger is Cody Taylor. Shannon Frizzell, the number 6. Andre Pollard has the fetch. But it's over! It's over! It's
Wow. Amazing video. It gave me the chills. So yeah, welcome everyone to the next session. First, before we start, I would love to give a big shout out to the Adidas team watching us live from the watch parties organized at their campus. So hey everyone at Adidas, welcome to Around 2023. So in this session, 2 incredible designers share their creative process for designing high-performance sports products and discuss how they reduce product creation time using 3D tools. So I would love to welcome Thomas Reiner, Senior Footwear Designer at Adidas, and Reiner Mandler, Senior Footwear Designer at Adidas, and Thomas Michael, Footwear Designer at Adidas. So remember to turn on your mics and your cameras. Welcome, Rainer. Welcome, Thomas. So glad to have you around this year.
Welcome.
Thanks for calling us incredible designers.
You are. You just showed us in the video. And so, yeah, if you could introduce yourselves to the audience, that would be amazing.
May I start first, Thomas,
Yeah, sure.
if you allow? Yeah, I'm Rainer, already working for Adidas since 2007 with a background in the household industry. Very proud to be an Adidas designer. Very proud to have learned a new tool, which is great, which we will explain later how the design process is now going. Thomas, tell us something about you.
Yeah, I'm Thomas Michael. I've studied industrial design, and I'm in the sporting goods industry for almost 30 years now. And with Adidas, I'm since 2005, and I'm a senior footwear designer in the specialist sports footwear design team. And I'm working in a variety of sports such as tennis, rugby, weightlifting, boxing, just to name a few of them.
Great. Thank you. All right. So it would be great if you could, we've seen that your 3D workflow has been transforming how you create. So it would be great to hear a little bit more about how the Adidas creative process is starting to evolve when it comes to designing high-performance sports products by using 3D workflows. So yeah, if you guys want to just kind of like jump in straight into Gravity Sketch, and we can go from there.
Let's go. Good. I could restart the machine.
Yeah, go for it. So for everyone that is watching, so Rainer and Thomas are going to be joining from their headsets, and I'm going to be sharing my screen from my computer from the desktop app that we have for Gravity Sketch. So you can also join a collab room, even if you don't have a VR headset. You can still look at it from the computer with this Screen Collab app that we have. So this is what you're looking at right now. So Thomas is already there.
Yes, I am in.
And I can see Rainer's controllers just moving around, so he's maybe almost there.
Yep. I'm at the first view point.
All right. We stopped seeing your video for some reason, Rainer. What happened there?
To make, Shall I go with the first viewpoint?
There we go. Give me a sec. All right.
Actually, it's all about telling you guys where we got the brief from. Actually, credibility is our first priority. And definitely there is no better way to achieve credibility and authenticity than by teaming up with athletes, real athletes, and get the briefing for a new product directly from them. So we had a Teams meeting with the All Blacks. Those guys anyway show up more or less regularly at the Adidas campus. Impressive man, I tell you. And from those guys, we got insights, and they actually told us what they need, what they want. Yeah. So this is really incredible what you can get from them. So it's really super valuable insights and learnings. So that, and it's also super inspiring and a great way to start a project. So one of the athletes we interviewed just said what you can read from that picture over here. So light means the players can preserve their energy for those moments they need to be explosive. Yeah. And Aaron Smith, one of the most famous of the All Blacks players, said, and that metaphor was very inspiring. So he said, I would define fast as imagine the back of a black Audi R8 at night, and that the grunty engine suddenly explodes into life with the red taillights vanishing away from you. And that was actually the starting inspirational key sentence he gave us. So Thomas would talk about the next picture we could look at in the next few.
Yeah, actually, one of the most important insights we gained from these meetings with rugby athletes was that rugby boots have to perform out of the box. Professional athletes don't have time to break them in, and when they get blisters, they cannot train or play for a couple of weeks. And that's why comfort and a good fit is absolutely essential. And the second insight was that the game of rugby is changing in the recent years, and it has become much more athletic and faster. And that's why we started to develop the RS15, which is a rugby boot for the speed players, the kickers, the playmakers. And for them, having a lightweight, fast boot with an integrated function for controlling the ball can really make a difference in deciding the game. And yeah, with this, I would hand back to Rainer.
Thank you, Thomas. The next viewport would be the one about design approach. Actually, the look, the expression of our products should be.
Rainer, I think you're just in front of the control, like of the viewpoint. If you can just move a little bit further to the back so that.
Yeah, like that. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Thank
Good.
you.
Iconic simplicity. That's what is key when it comes to having a creative direction. So the look, the expression of products should be driven by iconic simplicity, which means that we should just leave away or leave out all the unnecessary. And that makes things meaningful and beautiful. So to create bold and memorable design, it takes confidence and honesty. So lightweight experience being the goal means it's key to imagine functional benefits and at the same time celebrating details such as layering effects, stitchings, trims, all these details you would see at a second approach when you look at the product closer. Yeah. Thomas would take you through the next point.
Our goal is to create only the best for the athletes. That's why our design approach is strictly driven by purpose. And for a rugby player, being fast doesn't mean just running in one direction. It means explosive agility. It means multi-directional reactivity. It means precision, lightweight. And there are two features that make an undeniable rugby boot, which is lateral stability and the kicking zone. And what you definitely need is a proper forefoot support because you have a lot of multi-directional movements and also a tight midfoot lockdown. But on the other hand, the forefoot needs to be stretchable to provide maximum flexibility when you are in the scrum. And then finally, it needs the kicking zone extended into the tongue area and with grip elements which cannot be felt by the athlete. Other than in football, they want to have it, but they don't want to feel it. And all these insights then translate into a transformative design, which, as Rainer explained already, is driven by iconic simplicity. And my personal approach to this design journey is to start with hand sketching. And my goal is to achieve this iconic simplicity with just one stroke. And I think there is no better way to express lightweight and fast than by the gesture of the hand flying across the drawing paper or the tablet. And because I think it gets pretty close to this fast feeling of motion when you're doing sports. And it also helps to enables you to achieve faster, new-looking silhouettes that disrupt traditional shapes. And by focusing on the design key markers, it's much easier to achieve this iconic simplicity that evoke emotions. And it's great to have these manual sketching skills, but to elevate them, it's important to look beyond, to look outside and look into new ways of the design process. That's why we started working with Gravity Sketch 2 years ago, and Rainer will tell you a little bit more about how we are using it.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Thomas. Yeah, actually, using Gravity Sketch makes a very big difference. Yeah, a very big difference. It's 3D and it's intuitive and it's sketchy and it's fluid, and as soon as your learning curve starts being a bit steeper, which is the case pretty soon if you can focus on the work, then you really see the super big advantage of it. You don't need to be super precise, but you can be pretty precise. As you can see on those sketches Thomas did with this project, actually those wireframe sketches are all based on the last of that shoe. And so being pretty sketchy and pretty fast, they show true proportions, which is super helpful, and you don't trick yourself, you don't trick anybody else. You can really discuss things in the very beginning with your superiors, with anybody who is involved. It's pretty simple in the beginning. And so Thomas, I remember you did a lot of those wireframe sketches with simple surfacing on it. And pretty soon you came up with those nice renderings here, which show a super realistic, super fast, super light, great shoe. And later on, when Thomas will show the real sample, you won't see any difference actually. And when it comes to fast, not only the shoe is fast, also the workflow is way faster. Communication is better. You can tell stories way better. You can really come to quicker decisions. You will have prototypes pretty soon. It is kind of a very much a hands-on approach, which we like very much. We used to work a lot before in the Maker Lab, really using laws, really using materials. And this is actually what we are doing now with Gravity Sketch, but in a way more digitized, computerized way. So actually that comes handy for us who liked to work in the Maker Lab, and now we kind of do the same thing with a digital tool, which helps a lot, which speeds up everything. Yeah, Thomas, is it your part again?
Yeah, then I will jump out of the headset and
So,
will
I just
explain.
have a question here. So, like, can you elaborate a little bit more on how is it actually helping you reduce product creation? Like, what is it that is actually doing for your process to help speed up things?
May I continue here quickly?
Yeah.
As for me, in the beginning, my learning curve was very flat, I must say. I was frustrated. I couldn't stay long enough within Gravity Sketch in order to really learn it, and then I took it way too serious, trying to be super precise, but that was not the right thing. And then I, with the help of the Gravity Sketch instructors, I was encouraged to do it in a more loose way. Yeah, still not using precision, but really seeing if I draw a line around the heel like that, then it looks like this. So what you see is what you get, and that makes it already much more faster, and helps a lot. It's like I said, doing samples in the model shop, but doing it with the help of a 3D tool makes things way more realistic. So you don't trick yourself with a rendering. You don't trick anybody else, because you just go around and look at any detail. You can dive into the shoe. You can be super precise where necessary. You can be pretty loose in other areas where it's not important. And what you see is what you get, and that's the marvelous thing that you experience here, and that is just that kind of tool we've been looking for. As soon as you jumped over the first hurdles,
Were you able to, because now you're working in 3D and are able to, as you said, like not trick yourself or anyone else, have you been able to think about your design in a different way? As in, like, are there different things that before you were not thinking about when you were designing something, and now that you're doing it in 3D, are you thinking about other things?
Yeah, I would say definitely, because it's a completely different workflow when you're working in 2D or 3D. It's like you're working like a sculptor, and you can look into things and shapes that are simply not possible in 2D, and or you cannot explain it to other people, and so this is definitely a great communication tool to tell what your intention is. And the other thing which is really important and changed our workflow is we are constantly under time pressure in our business, and we always have deadlines. And in the past, we did this with Photoshop, did medial view, lateral view, top view, and so on. And it takes a lot of time to do all this in Photoshop. And with Gravity Sketch, you have it all in one 3D file, and can extract any screenshot you want. And so this is definitely a great time saver.
Nice.
That's actually the strongest effect. Yeah, you can be pretty precise. You are close to the last, and actually it's super helpful also for all involved parties, development as well as even the factories. You can show an animation or detailed screenshots from any angle, and that made even tech packing faster and simpler. Yeah, and that's one of the strongest effects actually.
Yeah, because sometimes it's really tricky to explain some construction details to development, and here we have the possibility to do explosion drawings, 3-dimensional explosion drawings, and that's very helpful to communicate your idea.
Yeah.
Amazing. All right, if you guys want to jump out of VR, feel free to stay there if you want.
Okay. Let's have a look at the world champion's shoe now in real.
Let me stop sharing. All right. So do you have the final sample with you?
So here is the final sample. The world champion shoe, not in Zia Coulisses color, but in the inline color. Yeah, a little bit about the construction and the materials. We have a leather forefoot to provide a really soft, flexible forefoot, and a breathable, lightweight textile heel. And this is covered by a very thin TPU foil that covers the edge between the leather and the textile. So you have an absolutely seamless construction. We have padded comfort zone along the collar to provide a really comfortable feeling when you step into the boot. Then we have an asymmetric lacing for the kicking zone here. So we have more space to place the grip elements. So actually this is executed in sticky 3D print. So it's very subtle. You can feel it, but it's as subtle as the athletes ask for. And this extended kicking zone also provides more space for placing the 3 stripes branding, which is also important on the pitch for visibility.
Nice.
Yeah, that's it.
That's amazing to see. Like sometimes it's really, and now we're starting to see it a little bit more, but like VR and working spatially has been for a very long time almost like a theory, right? Like this is how things should be, but we don't really see anything coming out. And it's so great to see this product like in your hands, something that you worked on in this very different way, and now it's there. You're holding it.
Yeah, actually, we started the project 2 years ago, so it was also the year when we started with the Gravity Sketch. Now we have some more projects in the pipeline, which we cannot show yet. But so this is really the first official project which is out on the market, and obviously also pretty successful.
Yeah. So perfect first product. All right. And so how do you think these tools and this new way of working is allowing you to collaborate better with the rest of the team? Because design is not a solo sport, right? So how is this helping you?
Oh, I could answer this question. Actually, I foresee for the future to involve all the other parties like development and product marketing into VR very much. Yeah. So actually, I'm planning soon for my next project, just using that app you can download on any computer, where people just would enter a color broom is already super helpful. And why shouldn't any product manager or any person from development not have it? And why wouldn't any involved parties not use the VR goggles as well? Yeah, in order to have a full 3D experience in the color brooms. That should be set up pretty soon, and then we would really speed up the whole process very much. Yeah, very much.
Why? Like, what are the things that you're imagining would happen that they're going to be able to understand what you're trying to express in an easier way?
You just can explain everything. You just show it like a sample. And you can show it in thousands of varieties. You can immediately react on feedback. If people see it like kind of realistically already, if they see how you can change things easily and quickly, decisions can be made immediately. So I see the old process where you looked at flat 2D lateral views, maybe top view, and those views are difficult to make, more or less, and you could do it way easier already in Gravity Sketch, and people would see the true thing, yeah. And well, you show 2 or 3 variations, alternatives, and yeah, things are discussed. You would change the necessary things, and off you go, yeah. And if this was transferred to the factory, and if there is experienced pattern makers or people who deal with toolings, they just grab that information directly, get their 3D files, and again, the process is speeded up, yeah. So this is what I envision. This is what I already hear from other users, yeah, which maybe are already more advanced somewhere else, yeah.
Yeah. And so what are other ways beyond time reduction that this new process is enabling?
I think it also offers new ways of developing a sample. For instance, this year we have started to do 3D printing in our Maker Lab, where we have a bunch of 3D printers. And we didn't do it like printing out the whole shoe in one piece, but we printed out parts that we assembled afterwards. And this way of considering pieces and parts that have to be put together afterwards makes you thinking in a different way. It makes you thinking about construction and assembling and materials in a much more thorough way than you would do it just like you hand over a sketch and or print out a one-piece thing. So this putting together this puzzle really makes you going deeper into the matter.
So it makes you kind of like understand the actual...
Yeah, it makes you understand what you're doing in a much more thorough way.
So like next time that you design something, you already have that knowledge in your head.
Absolutely, yeah. And the other thing, what is really a great benefit, that you can use these 3D renderings or animations, or maybe even the design process during the Gravity Sketch session. You can use this for marketing tools, for product launches, and you can upload it to social media channels, and you can evoke emotions with this.
Like so, we did with this video.
Yeah, exactly.
That video was just crazy. You did definitely evoke emotions, at least in me, and I know that in the chat as well. And so Asia travel has become a staple for footwear designers. So could you see a world where this is not required anymore? Like we just went into this collab session, the 3 of us. And so do you think this could be the future?
Sure. As soon as, or as long as there is people on the other end of the world using the same tools like us, we would just meet in a collab room instead of putting dozens of designers into aircrafts and bringing them over, staying there for 2 or 3 weeks. I foresee that we could really handle most of the stuff virtually. Of course, there is sometimes it makes really sense to meet in person, sure, yeah, and also really talk to people or just meet in order to have a better team experience, better team spirit. But I also noticed that via VR, you see each other, you see each other on screen, you meet in the collab. This is also almost as good as meeting in person, yeah, and it saves so much money. It's the carbon footprint is way smaller, and this is what I'm very much interested in, you know. So that's one of the strongest aspects I see. Yeah,
I think the only thing we still will have to do in the real world is product testing. So that has to be done. But in terms of getting there, developing the project, I would say we could save at least one round of samples, or maybe flying over to Asia. And this money where we could invest in, maybe more in research things, or meeting more with the athletes and get deeper insights.
Okay, I want to ask a couple of questions from the audience before we bring our Q&A guest. We have so many questions. It's gonna be hard to choose which one. So guys from the audience, if you want to vote on which question to ask, that'd be great. There's one in two parts. Have you been able to cut development rounds by managing initial milestone reviews fully in 3D prior to initial samples? And then the second question to that is, what do the next steps in the process look like? Is the Gravity Sketch 3D asset the base for either a shell or a 3D handover?
Actually, this is what we are hoping will come in the future. I would say the design team, or our design team, has started to use it, and now we have to onboard our counterparts in development and also marketing. And we are a very big company with complex structures, so it takes time to onboard everyone who is involved. But we are hoping that we will fix this in the near future.
All right, and are you using Gravity Sketch to simulate the motion performance of the shoe?
The motion performance, what does it mean?
Maybe like doing different kind of like
exercises.
Okay,
yeah. I mean, in theory, or in you can try to what you have in mind to implement it in the design. But in the end, as I said, you have to test it, and you never know how materials behave, how they work together, and so you definitely need to do this. I think simulating the behavior of a shoe is still pretty far in the future.
You can't simulate what 130 kilo athlete is doing to a
and there are different testers with different opinions. We shouldn't forget.
Yeah, but at least you're kind of like understanding it a little bit more because of the three-dimensional aspect, right?
Yeah.
And so one last one, and then we'll bring Richard. Could you, sorry, Angus, could you imagine a world where sourcing partners are also utilizing Gravity Sketch?
Absolutely. I think all the suppliers who deal with components could use it or should use it. It would be easier to exchange materials, swatches, and or at least to have a realistic look, a vision of how it will look at the end.
Good. All right. So I'll welcome our Q&A guest, Angus Wardlow, VP Global Business for Rebobit. He's actually worked in the industry and with these two guys in the past. So welcome, Angus. Yeah.
Hi. How you doing? Can you hear me okay? The right microphone this time?
Yeah, right microphone.
Great. So yeah, that was great. Really enjoyed it. Actually, I saw a lot of really cool questions in the chat, and so a lot of my initial questions other people have referred to. But one question I saw in the chat that I think is quite interesting is, where's the benefits from 2D versus 3D? So I know you guys are working on performance footwear, and my experience and my personal background on this is that the foot is asymmetrical, sport is asymmetrical, footwear should be asymmetrical, and particularly performance footwear. And what I saw as a developer in many years was the big challenge with traditional 2D workflow is to design an asymmetrical shoe well, because you're having to match the lateral view, the top view, and the medial view. So I'd just like to get your point of view on how you think the 3D tools can provide benefits on this?
May I answer this one? Actually, that's the big benefit to really work around the foot with that 3D tool. Yeah, you just have your sketching lines floating around the foot, how you would like to have them, how they make sense, how they look good. And this is only possible in a 3D intuitive tool, which is Gravity Sketch is. Yeah, you just using those things, moving them around, moving the product, moving the lines, moving the surfaces. Nice.
And every good shoe starts with a right last or a good last, and it would already start to design the last in Gravity Sketch in 3D, and you could do foot scans, digital foot scans, and then work the last around it, and then you have the right last for the right movements or the right spots, and then you can use it for the as a base for shoe design.
Okay. Yeah, great. Yeah, I mean, I know from a development perspective, the old 2D process, the number of times that the top view, lateral view, and medial view don't match.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult as a developer to make a 3D shoe when things are not perfectly matching.
Yeah.
Whereas when you get the output from a 3D process, it's much easier to sort of realize the design, what the designer wants.
Absolutely.
There was so much space for interpretation or misinterpretation in the past, and this is zero now.
I could actually prove on a project I did where I took it really serious to be really true to the last and making sure when doing the shell pattern, I could take measurements from my Gravity Sketch model and transfer it into 2D. Yeah? In the future, I would like to have an experienced pattern maker doing this, using the model. Like if I'd handed over a product I did in the Maker Lab, on a last with material, I would hand it over to a pattern maker, and now I could do it in a digital way. And why would I make a pattern if there is somebody who is doing it way better? Yeah, using exactly the true dimensions that person can grab from the 3D model. This is what we envision.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed. And I have one other question. So I've seen like people in gravity sketching starting from a total freeform and without a base. And today, Thomas, you talked about how you actually were starting either from a last or an existing product. And I'd just like to get your perspective, because I have my perspective of, ultimately you need to make a physical product that fits and works. So maybe the benefit and, what the different processes from freeform versus starting from a template.
I would say it depends on the project. There's no right or wrong. I think there are some projects or briefings where you have to start from scratch, or you don't have any base you can use for it. So, or maybe develop new silhouettes, new lasts. But on a high performance products, it's always better you have a basis you can work from. You have a basis you can evolve. And the other thing I mentioned already is the time pressure, and you have very tight timelines. And if you have a solid base, it's definitely helpful, because this time then you can invest into product testing with the athletes, and you cannot miss this.
Yeah.
Actually, for that project, you just couldn't fool around. There was time pressure, and you worked very quickly. And in the end, it was a world champion shoe. So perfect, absolutely perfect process. But you also could be use that tool in a very intuitive, artistic way, like really fooling around with crazy kind of shapes. You can do anything like you would do as an artist or a sculptor, being super free, like those sketches Thomas showed in in the collab room before, those comic style sketches to get kind of a key idea that could be done in graffiti sketch itself. Yeah.
And I think in the fashion world or in the sneaker world, this is definitely would be a great benefit to play around with 3D shapes or totally crazy silhouettes.
Mm. Oh, there is a wide field open to be explored. Looking forward to this. Maybe a last word. The other day I saw a colleague, Ivan, sitting in the Maker Lab in front of a mannequin, yeah, and drawing, yeah, using the mannequin and drawing lines on it, you know, in doing fashion designers work. That was great, yeah, to see, and he offered me to have a look under the goggle, and that works perfectly, yeah.
That's
Another way to
amazing.
do it. Another great start, yeah.
Blending the physical and the digital.
Sure. Yeah.
Great. All right. So I wish we could continue just like for hours and hours to talk about this, because I'm sure there's so much to talk about. And there's so many questions in the chat. Everybody loved your presentation, Thomas and Rainer. Thank you so much for joining us today at Around 2023. Thank you, Angus, for joining us for the Q&A. It's been fun. And so, yeah, thank you so much. You're around.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
For the next